Thank you.
Okay, I guess we can go ahead and call the meeting to order. Or no, I guess, yeah, call the meeting to order and do the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Carly, want to do roll call?
Robert Mueller. Tina Kreitler.
Here.
Jan Braun.
Here.
Beth Caldwell. Stephanie Grumminger.
Here.
Kelly Fowler. Laura Oliver. Here. Michael Hankins. Kathy Walsh.
Here.
And Tom Couch. We have a quorum.
Okay. All right, if you guys want to take a look at the agenda, if there's no changes or additions to it, we'll ask for an approval.
I'll move we approve the agenda if there's no changes.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. The minutes from last month's meeting is here in front of you, so if you guys want to take a look at those. If there are no changes, motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Laura,
Second.
Kathy, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Any citizens to be heard? No? All right, Sandra, your report?
Great. Morning, everyone. The report that you have that has the slides on it, trying to save a little bit of paper, and we experimented with a couple of formats, and this is the one that won out. The first slide there, you'll see are our individual visitors. This has been updated through September 30th. And you can see individual visitors overall, and really the last several months have been higher than 2012 and sometimes higher than 2011. But we're tracking pretty strong in terms of visitors coming to the community, and this is just visitors that come to the Welcome Center. So, you know, potentially there's other people out there who never come to the Welcome Center. Imagine that. So our next slide is in specifics in terms of groups. In the month of September, our groups were a little bit higher than 2012. Not quite as high as 2011, and you can see some spikes in various years there. You know, timing is everything. For instance, today we have a school group in, that's 100 students split up amongst the various locations in downtown. We had a bus group earlier this week, and we have a bus group next week as well. The trend lately seems to be some of the bank tour loyalty groups, like a bank loyalty group takes a tour. So we've been doing some outreach and have had several of those confirming. One last week was from Illinois, and the one that's coming in next week is from over near Kansas City, I think. But so this is a good trend. We'll have more group visitors coming in. Passport sales have been going fairly well up until September. We saw a slight decrease in our student passports, but as you can see, our September adult passports were higher than last year and the year before. Looks like 2010 was the year to beat there, and you can see in October we've got an extremely high spike from the year 2010. I don't know if we'll get up that high, but we're making an effort every day to make sure that we're mentioning passports to all of the visitors, including telling them about that when we're talking to them about the things that they can see and do in our destination. The next sheet just shows you a breakdown of year to year and month to month for those who like to see the actual figures without the bar graphs. You can see that individual visitors in September was 1877, and that was about 300 people higher than last year, and 100 some odd higher than the year before. For the year to date, we're tracking about 12% ahead of the previous year, and looks like we were ahead of all the years except for 2009. And then there's just a breakdown of the group tour visitors and the sales from 2012 to 2013. The next page is actually a preview of what we'll have next week for the Board of Aldermen report. But these are the early reports of restaurant taxes and shop taxes for the quarter, the third quarter, July, August, and September. You can see that overall the restaurants were up for that quarter and the shops were slightly down, a little over $100 down for the quarter. Shops were up in July, down in August, and down in September. Restaurants were up in September significantly, and we saw that, we'll see more about this next week, including the lodging taxes, because those are just beginning to come in. I'm hoping that we see that the lodging taxes are going strong. I guess, Jan, you're the only representative from a B&B in the room. Did you have a strong September?
About average.
Okay. So those are the preliminary reports. As I said, we'll get more as Sue continues to gather more information on the lodging receipts, on the tax receipts that are coming in. One of the other things I wanted to update you on was I went the first week in October. I went to the Governor's Conference on Tourism. It was in Springfield this year, and it was really very beneficial to meet face to face with so many of the staff from the Missouri Division of Tourism, and also there were some people there from Economic Development, and of course directors of tourism and welcome centers from across the state, as well as some of the key vendors that service tourism in Missouri, the advertising contracts that the state of Missouri maintains, and some of the people that they negotiate discounts with. So a lot of these people I had begun to meet over the phone and was able to get more of a personal relationship with them. A couple of things came out of that. There were a number of beneficial sessions, but one in particular that will be impacting us as we move forward, and we'll be continuing to track this information, is that there is a 10-member CMAC, Cooperative Marketing Advisory Council. I guess, Jan, you sit on this council?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so there's been this 10-member council from across the state has been meeting in conjunction with the state tourism staff that work on the cooperative grant program, and looking at things that could be updated, things that could be simplified, things that could be streamlined, and then also the state is looking at how they're going to divide up the budget. And the good news is that moving forward, they announced at the conference that 90% of the funds will be going to pay for ads to promote leisure travel. That's very good for us because we are a leisure travel market. They're also looking at, and some of these things are things that we have been complying with gradually over the years. For those who have worked on the grant process over the years, this will sound familiar to you. But each area has a designated marketing organization, and the city is the designated marketing organization that serves our whole county. And the new formulas will be based on a CTO, which is a county formula, and there will only be one application for co-op marketing grants in each designated area. They're going to eliminate special adjustments. Now this apparently doesn't play as well for St. Genevieve, because apparently we had received special adjustments before, and probably because of our historic significance and the small town size that we are, and trying to compete with large destinations and so on. So they had given some small areas special adjustments to help them receive additional funding that they might not have received otherwise if they were just competing on a playing field of who has the most beds to offer and who has the most attractions to offer and so on. So they're taking another look at that. I'm going to be tracking this very closely, because one of the things that they mentioned a couple of times was the number of hotel rooms that are available, well, hotel or any type of stay room that's available to guests that serves your location. So we need to be sure that we're counting every single room that we can, and it's not up to us to count this. It's actually, and this is part of their effort to make it fair and even-handed, which is a laudable goal. But the way that they're going to accomplish this is they're going to ask the State Department of Health to tell them what is the bed census in this county. And so we need to be sure that all of our properties are communicating with the departments of health so that they know how many rooms we actually have, because it won't be up to me to say, hey, I have 5 over here and 2 over there and 3 over here and 60 over there. It will actually be what's collected on an information standpoint through those state offices. So we'll be continuing to track that. It doesn't change anything for our FY14 plan. This will come into effect with the FY15 plans. And so over the next 3 months, they will be working out the fine points about this. And then we will actually apply for our FY15 grant in May of next year. So between now and then, we'll be finding out what we need to find out and making sure that all the things that will make a difference to our funding will be addressed. And so stay tuned as that continues to develop. The other things are that you have to be a nonprofit entity for a minimum of 2 years. We don't have any problem there. At least 1 FTE. We don't have any problem there. It has to be a tourism exclusive focus. Your brochures and website and so on have to focus on the destination itself. And I don't know if there's some out there that maybe have multiple focuses, but they're trying to, again, make it more consistent. They're still going to offer ads in discounted ad space in approved media markets. I think that about covers it. Search engine marketing, PR products, photo and video. As we know, more and more people are making their decisions on what they find out about us online, and I do think that our website has a great deal of information and also has a lot of photos and graphics. One thing we're a little short on is video, and really getting more video out there. So one of the things that I think I'll be talking about later in the agenda is the television commercial that we're filming, thanks to the funds from the Tourism Tax Commission. That will be coming up soon, and I've asked them to be sure to give us the B-roll from that. We're paying for it, so we'll have that, and we can be able to, add little snips of that as, in terms of stoking up our video inventory. But we're going to be looking at other ways to do that. And there was also something that she mentioned, their American Bus Association meets all over the country. In 2015, they're going to be meeting in St. Louis for their nationwide meeting. And so this is a huge boon for our region. And what you typically do when there's, like the host site will go to the meeting the year before to get everyone pumped up on coming to their site the following year. So in January 2014, that site will be Nashville, Tennessee. So actually, I've put in a bid to ask them to consider carrying St. Genevieve materials at that Nashville, Tennessee meeting in preparation for the people coming to St. Louis. Markets that come to St. Louis, both leisure travel and group travel, corporations sending out spouse tours and so on. This is a really strong opportunity area for us, and so we want to be sure that we're well represented with this group. So I haven't gotten an answer on that, but Nashville is close enough for us to drive to easily. It's not like this year's meeting is in Florida, and that would be pretty inconvenient. It's pretty convenient to get to Nashville, and I might, if they say yes, I might even see if we can be allowed to have some people in costume, which would always attract attention. So. Anyway, and then the last thing that's in your packet, and I think this is really exciting, I didn't know that there was such a thing, but the Missouri Travel Council is working with the state of Missouri. They have been for a number of years apparently on a custom license plate that you can use to promote tourism. So this could say anything. It could say, Show Me Shop or Kathy's or whatever, but the funds from the the fee collection on this special plate goes towards supporting the Missouri Travel Council. So here it is. If you're interested, I actually have a coupon for $5 off of the fee, and so it's $25 for 1 year or $50 if you don't want to have to renew it a second time. And the way this works is, and I almost said, Kathy, correct me if I'm wrong, because you probably remember how people do these, but you fill out this form to request permission to get a special custom plate through this program. They say yes, and then you take that form into the license office saying, I would like to order a custom plate. So there's a little time involved, and it is a two-fee process or a two-step process, but the money that you pay and, your $25 goes to help tourism. Yes?
The only thing I would add is that additional fee for the tourism insignia or whatever is in addition to your regular plate renewal fees.
Right.
So if you're paying $40 to renew a plate for a 1 year, the $25 would be on top of that. It's not all together.
Yes. And that it's a two-step process. First, you have to ask for the
Right.
tourism plate, then you get your yes, then you take your paperwork in and you pay your regular fee on top of your special fee. So anyway, I just, hoping that some people will be interested in this, and it goes for a good cause, right? And if you are interested, please email me because I can get you a copy of the coupon.
I have a question.
Yes.
Would you please go over again what you said about what I thought I heard you say was we have the designated marketing entity for the county. Did you say county or did you say city? And could you go over that part again?
Well, we are the designated marketing organization for this destination. So we have responsibility.
As in the city of St. Genevieve?
City and the attractions in the county. We are the only designated
Okay.
marketing organization in this county. And there will only be one per county. Like, let's say that we had another major city located inside our county. That city would have to partner with us because there's only one DMO per county.
And right now, the county commissioners bestowed the DMO status on us, correct?
Correct.
County
It's a
commissioners have to-
partnership, yes. And that was decided years ago, probably 10 years ago, because I was working on those grant applications back then.
3 or 4.
Yeah.
Oh,
sure,
okay,
yeah.
okay. Well, so it has been a while, but, so,
And it is you, the tourism department?
right, this is the same co-op grant that we've been doing every year.
But the designated marketing organization is our division of tourism, it's you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Just that their funding formulas will be changing to some extent. And so, and they're also simplifying their paperwork. Now, I haven't done the paperwork in some time. I used to
And the
help.
state
with it.
told you they're simplifying paperwork?
Right. So let's see what happens, right?
No, it's going to be way simple.
Well, Jan's been on the committee, so we can hope that there's been significant input there. So we'll continue to track that. As I said, I want to be really sure. They have a point formula, and the more points you get, the more you're eligible for. So I want to be sure that we're capturing every single point that we can. And there are a number of factors that will go into that. Most of them we've already complied with over the years. So. And I have some other updates in terms of print items, which I think comes later. But I just wanted to also let people know that part of my new mission was to work more closely and effectively with the groups and the festival planners and so on. And I have been meeting with the festival planners for the Rural Heritage and for things like Art Walk and the downtown merchants and their activities, and also for the Christmas Walk event, or the Holiday Christmas Festival, and just giving them suggestions about things that might be helpful to their advertising and implementation. And I'm also have set aside a portion of funds for each of the signature events to help support their advertising efforts. I know there was support that was done in the past, but it wasn't necessarily across the board, and the groups weren't necessarily sure of how much that amount would be. So I've been very clear with them up front, and I said, here's how much you have to work with, here's what I would suggest, and most of them are working with me to say, okay, here's where I think I would like to advertise, give me some thoughts on this, and here's the part that I'd like for you to pay for. So, for instance, next weekend, October 26th, is Rural Heritage Day. I hope everyone's family, I've gone to this as a consumer of the event for years, and it's always a wonderful event, so I hope everyone's planning on participating. There will be a live radio broadcast by KTJJ, KREI on that day. They'll be coming over here to broadcast live. We are doing, print, radio. I'm sure you saw the ad in the local paper this week for that. We've been doing the committee chairs, the committee leaders have been doing focus interviews, and also we're on the What's New last week. So all of those things, I think in the past they've kind of done it sometimes and maybe not other times, but just trying to help them step up the game a little bit, and also suggesting that they seek out a couple of large sponsors, and both of our upcoming signature events are doing that. They've obtained some larger sponsorships from local organizations that will help them with their expenses for these events. Both of these events happen to not charge an entry fee. It's mainly for the betterment of the community and the economy. So they have to make their money in other ways, and they do a wonderful job with that. The Merchants Group is also sponsoring a Ghouls Night Out. It's going to be October 19th, and if you come in dressed in costume, they will have a special or a discount. Each shop is doing something different. And then the Route de Vin in November is having their Wine Diva weekend on opening weekend of deer season, of course. And so we have had, and I met with the Route de Vin, the winery owners, and told them that we want to be more inclusive. We want to be sure that we're including their information not only on our website with our calendar of events, which we do, but also in our printed ads. And I'll just circulate this. You're familiar with the ad campaigns that we've been doing, where we have a St. Genevieve ad at the top and various businesses. So this is an example of one of those ads that has all of our, dining, lodging, all of our attractions in bullet form on one side, and then we try to incorporate a calendar of events into the graphic, as well as something that evokes a positive emotion. So that's what that is.
Sandra, is St. Genevieve a member of the St. Louis CBC?
Yes, we are.
Route de Vin just joined. Maybe we can partner targeting some of the DMCs and convention planners, and
Absolutely.
do some itineraries, send them some possible when I talked to them, they were all the convention planners on site at the CBC were, they love the idea of going to St. John, but they didn't seem to know very much about us.
Right.
So that might be a good place for us to target it.
Yes. Well, and as a matter of fact, in the 2014 Missouri travel guide and the St. Louis visitors guide that goes out to, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of event planners, I took out an ad in the day trip section of the St. Louis one. So all of those meeting planners will see St. Genevieve as a possible day trip from St. Louis. So I agree completely.
Maybe you and I can get together on that and brainstorm some ideas.
Sure. So that is kind of the highlight. And, the other thing I was just going to, I don't know if everyone has seen this magazine before. Like, I've seen Missouri Life magazine, and we've advertised in that. But Show Me Missouri, this is actually produced out of Kennett, Missouri. And this is the travel magazine of Missouri. I'll just pass it around. I met that gentleman when I was at the conference, and it's a nice glossy publication. It's produced right here in Southeast Missouri. And so I think there's probably some opportunity for some editorial or some advertising in that as well. And I've been continuing my writing spree, and this is a small version of these. This would be newspaper size, and I'll just pass this around while I'm talking about it. But so in 6 papers in southern Illinois, we've been having these full page. This started before Jour de Fête weekend, and so I've been sending out editorial, which they comp us, and then the local merchants have been participating in the ad campaign. And so this is part of a series that we've been participating in, and I'll just pass that around so you can kind of see the before and after of what that looks like.
Oh no, this is not a pre-publication.
No.
It's a subscription.
It's a subscription.
Where's that distributed? Do you know?
It goes all over the state. They have subscriptions, and then they also have bonus distribution. So it's kind of like, well, you're familiar with Missouri Life?
What's bonus distribution? Just extra ones that they send to?
Right, so yeah, doctor's offices, locations, welcome centers, places that would be high traffic areas. And as an example, Laura, have you seen this one, the winery?
No, I saw that down there. I haven't seen
Well,
that
I brought some extras just in case you wanted some. So if you're familiar with Missouri Life magazine, they do from time to time special inserts, and they have this one that just came out this fall. It's called Missouri's Winery and Brewery Guide. Well, this one is in all of their Missouri Life magazines, and the Missouri Division of Tourism did an additional bonus distribution of, like, I don't know, 20,000 or 30,000 copies of these, and had them at events that the MDT was going to be exhibiting at, like State Fair, or they had them at the tourism conference, obviously. But I'll pass that one, and you can keep those other ones. So it's been busy down at the Welcome Center. It's a lot going on. I'll stop there.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for Sandra?
Yeah, I'm going to make a comment. I need to talk to some people on the commission about this, but your one point about getting with the health department to get the census of heads and beds, that's not the best way to go.
Well.
In St. John County, you would only pick up the inn, barely Dr. Hurdick's house, the Southern Hotel, and Somewhere in Time. All of Joe Scott's properties. Did I say Somewhere in Time?
Yes.
You did?
I didn't mean to. You would lose that.
Okay.
You would have lost, you would lose Sonnenbloom, you would have lost the Coquerel, and all of the B&Bs out from the county. So they need to fix that, because the health department, the reason it's the health department is because the health departments around the state contract with the State Department of Health and Senior Services. But they only have purview over inns that are 5 rooms or greater. And that's not, your typical B&B is 4 point something, so. I think they're off.
I had the same thought, and I gently mentioned that observation in our meeting. And I don't know that, that they're 100% on it, but they're, I'd say a good 80% decided that that's the direction that they're going to go in. And what their response was, well, they can voluntarily ask to have a census made of their property, which takes some extra effort.
Nobody's going to call the health department and say, would you please come by?
My point exactly, yeah. So I see it as a potential hiccup for us as well. And I thought you probably would have known about it being on a commission. It sounds like maybe it hasn't come up for a vote yet. Maybe
Yeah.
it's just an idea.
Yeah.
But,
They really need to talk to Bed and Breakfast Inns of Missouri, the trade organization,
because they would have a census.
of the members, but if you're not
Well,
a quality place, you're not going to be a member. And if you're not a member, then that's not good. So that would be the place to turn, I would think,
yeah.
BBIN.
So,
Okay.
let's talk about this,
Yeah.
because maybe there's further discussions that could be had. Certainly, we want to get credit, as I pointed out, for every single bed that's available for a visitor in our destination.
Right, including the billets.
So,
I might suggest that one way to bring that to the attention of the people who need to maybe revisit that issue would be to contact our state legislators, our state senator and our state rep, who's controlling everybody's budget that you're talking about, and those people certainly have input with the Division of Tourism and everybody else.
Okay, we'll go ahead and move on down to old business. The development of the 2014 calendar.
okay. The calendar submission form has been emailed out, and it's available on our website. And as we discussed at our last meeting, this is just a way to try to get all of those events, especially our signature events that we need to know when they are. I'd like to get those on our calendar before the beginning of the new year, so that we can have 2014 laid out in terms of the major events. And there will certainly be other events that will, spring up during the course of the year, but I want to be sure to have all those dates nailed down so that when we go to, talk to reporters, we're not giving misinformation, or that, everybody knows what the dates are. So that's available online now, and I also emailed it out last week.
Okay.
I'll just run down this list. Okay.
Sounds good.
So the TV commercial, as I said, we will be filming that this fall. This is with KMOV out of St. Louis. It's been paid for by the Tourism Tax Commission. And so we're very excited about that. It will hit the market about the time that we go into our slow period. So hopefully it will be bringing additional attention and business to St. Genevieve at a time when we need it. And then social media training. I have a tentative date right now of November 20th. And this will be in the evening. If it's possible, depending on how much the cost is going to end up being, that I might be able to repeat it for an afternoon session and an evening session. But don't put that in the minutes. It's just a tentative date right now, and I'm trying to work out the details on that.
Is the commercial going to try to encompass everything, or just focus on houses or historic?
St. Genevieve as a destination.
Okay. Touch on a little bit of everything.
Right. You can go on KMOV and key in St. Charles, and you can kind of get an idea of the commercial that they did. Or I could email that out to people. It might be easier so they could kind of see what it's going to look like.
Yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah.
Okay, new business, the upcoming events for November. I think that's in our packet.
There was really only 2 events on the Visit St. John calendar for November, so I also included the first couple for December. Does anybody know of anything else in November that should be included? Because I haven't sent this out yet, so I can still change it. I just don't think there's that much.
What do you have?
So you've got the Wine
The
Depot
Wine Diva and the
weekend.
Art Walk. But there was nothing else on the calendar on the website. So I just put the Holiday Christmas Festival and Le Réveillon on there to fill up a little space, and then when I do the December calendar, I'll keep those 2 on there, of course, for the next one.
I don't know of anything else.
I don't know.
I don't either.
Okay. Well, then I'll just send it
I
out
think
like
it's
that.
right. I'm just checking this. I think it looks good, Beth.
Thanks.
Okay, scheduling of November evening quarterly meeting.
Is there a standard date that's set for that?
No, typically, in the past, we've had them on Tuesday evenings because there's not really anything else going on. Because we've got board meetings second and fourth. Court is on Thursdays. What's new is on Wednesdays. Landmarks meetings are on Mondays typically. If we stay around the 3rd Friday and we move to, there's nothing that I can see right now for the 19th.
The 19th might be the best day.
I can check the city calendar just to make sure that there hasn't been something just not written in here yet. And then-
Does that date work for the people around the table?
For discussion's sake, and only for discussion's sake, because I don't have a problem doing it, but I'm just devil's advocate, I question why we do it. Why we have these evening sessions. There's no one coming.
We're not getting the participation.
The idea was to make it accessible, that maybe the people who are interested are here during the day.
Yeah, seems to be. And last 3, Pat Parker was the only one, and she'll go to any meeting. So.
Yeah.
And no one who attended, to my recollection, couldn't have attended a day meeting.
Exactly right.
So would we prefer to keep it on that 3rd Friday?
During the day and not the evening.
It still could be open to the public, there's no reason.
It's always open to the public.
Right.
Is there something in your bylaws?
It was implemented just a couple of years ago, wasn't it, to have an evening meeting?
Less than that even.
I'm looking.
Yeah.
Maybe about a year, maybe. I think we've had 4 or 5 of them. And
Maybe we could finish the year with one more evening meeting
And
and
start
then
it
make a
in-
big announcement that the schedule is changing and get it on Channel 7 and 98. And then if there's a great hue and cry with, damn, I can't come to a morning meeting, we'll go back to doing evening ones.
Riots in the streets or,
Yeah, like that.
That's a good idea.
So try for the 19th of November, and then, starting with January, change it.
That's my suggestion. It's certainly open for discussion.
what day of the week
An
is
annual
it?
meeting is
in
in
June.
June.
I left my smartphone.
We
and so I'm
had a
totally
lot of
stupid now.
participation at the beginning on those because
Yes.
we had a lot of discussion.
Yeah, I don't have my smartphone.
I have an excuse now.
And I'm never
The tax
smart.
commission was going to contribit there, so the first couple, there was,
There was rioting in the streets
Right.
practically.
yeah,
Maybe from after this next one, you could plan on having your annual meeting at least one a year.
Yeah, that's what I would say, too. yeah.
Oh, yeah, we could do that.
Okay, so we're all good with November 19th to do one more evening meeting, and then change it next year?
what time?
Is it-
What time?
7 p.m.
Here? We're doing it here? What are we?
So, yeah.
Okay.
I'll send out an email just to confirm that. I'll make sure with the city's calendar that there aren't any other government meetings that night.
Unless you want to have it down at the Welcome Center.
Fun.
Something different.
Would you have a area for us to meet, though?
We wouldn't have the table space, but we would have chair space. Well, these chairs are more comfortable, maybe we should keep it here. Sometime we'll have something down at the Welcome Center. We'll have a little meet and greet kind of
There you
thing,
go.
maybe.
I can see Don downstairs saying, yes, have it here, yes, have it
Yeah.
here. Instead of having to drive the video camera to the
Right.
Welcome Center.
Send his camera boys out.
Okay, we'll move on to committee reports. Electronic media update on mobile website optimization.
We, our committee met with a conference call, and we haven't moved forward on this yet. Hope to soon, but the project person that we were going to use got a big project coming in, and so I would say that this is something that we'll try to address before the end of the year.
Print media, availability of the new visitor guide.
Well, so our...
Go ahead.
Okay. Our, the Visitors Guide Committee has been meeting a lot and working a lot, and the Visitors Guide, we hope that it will be available, I would say, in the next month. We still have a supply of the previous guide, so it's not like we're without guides right now. But we're making a lot of changes to it. You know, we changed the map, we changed some things about the layout. We had quite a bit of updating of the shops and listings that we needed to do. And also, we're going to change the way that the covers look. And so I thought this would be the most exciting thing to say about that. I'm going to pass this around, but basically we're looking at having a different look on the cover that involves more emotional subjects on the cover. And so we try to have either scenery or people that look really interesting, and it looks like, oh my gosh, I've got to pick this up and see where this is. I've heard of St. Genevieve, always wanted to go there. So we're trying to make it more interesting than the previous cover, and we're going to have multiple covers. So if we're specifically responding to a request and we can tell something about the person that might match up with one of these interest areas, we can send them the brochure that seems like it might be the best fit for them. But we're also doing this at the same cost, thanks to printing advances. We're doing it at the same cost that the one cover used to cost us. So I'm just going to pass this around because I'm pretty excited about that. I think it will be a big improvement in the look and feel, and you know, and that'll just make us a little bit more competitive with our printed information that's out there. So I would say in the next 30 days, these should be available for distribution.
Okay, well, while that's going around, we'll go ahead and just move on down to tourism development, brainstorming session on new small events. I'm not quite sure who's in charge of that.
Well, I think Bob actually,
Oh, yeah.
after our last meeting, Jan emailed and said that the committee had kind of already done a brainstorming on events and suggestions. So Bob had pulled up that information, and we were taking a look at that. I think it's probably worth dusting it off and actually getting a group together. I think I only had one person that responded and said they were interested in participating in that brainstorming. That could mean one of two things. That could mean maybe we should do this brainstorming with the whole group, or maybe we should just see who else is interested in doing the brainstorming.
Forgive me if I'm wrong, but I think my impression would be that the reason we only got one answer was because the rest of us volunteered at this meeting. Because I remember at least 3 people putting their hands up.
Okay.
So if I'm guilty of not responding,
Okay, great. Well,
it's in the minutes of the
okay.
August meeting, I believe.
Okay. So we will be talking about that, and maybe the best thing to do is just to invite people to come down to the Welcome Center, and we'll kind of lay it out and talk about what we might add. There were some comments that were brought up afterwards that we don't want to create a lot of additional work on the part of, needing to find lots of new volunteer committees to pull these events off. So what kind of events can we do that would add to our calendar and not necessarily add to the level of volunteer coordination of events that would have to occur? So, yes.
Put me down for a volunteer if you could invite me when you pick
Okay,
that.
thanks.
I've got something I've been kind of kicking around.
It might be better to do it as the group. I can't remember if it was just Bob and I who brainstormed these in the past, or if he asked was it one of the things that he asked the group to brainstorm?
Well, we did
We
the
sent
thing
out
at
a
the
few
chamber, that was
surveys.
at least
Yeah,
10 people. wasn't it?
Yeah, there was at least 10 of us
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, so maybe it's time to discuss them as a group instead of...
Keep it
because
in committee?
Right.
Okay.
Because it's already been... Because there's quite a few down on paper, are there not?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, yes. More than we could possibly use, and
Right.
so...
That's the whole point of brainstorming.
Right.
Right, exactly, exactly. Well, would we maybe want to use some of our time at the November 19th meeting to do that? To get together and
I
as
think
a
it'd be
group?
worth 15, 20 minutes of
Yeah, sure.
discussion.
Okay. And then we don't have to schedule a separate meeting, because that's one thing that worries me, is trying to find time to work in other meetings. Okay, well,
Do you
let's just
think-
plan on,
Do you think you could bring a summary, or Dina?
oh,
Was that all the white chart paper that was on the wall?
Bob has all
Is that
that.
ever reduced to a document?
Yes, Bob has
Yes.
it.
Then we should have that.
Okay.
so I'll get that and email something out to people prior to the November 19th meeting. Okay, great.
Okay, anything on the resource committee?
Yeah, the resource committee was Jack.
Joe.
And when he was an alderman, he was on it, and I was on it, and nobody else has been replaced, and Jack was the chairman of the committee.
Is Jack now.
She's not been appointed.
You're much prettier.
She may be Jack now, but he never replaced anybody on the committee. And I know that one of the last meetings, we talked about finances and about you all having a meeting, but he never asked the finance, or the resource committee, which is supposed to be budgets and things like that, to attend, but he never replaced the other two. And I didn't feel that,
Committee of one.
a committee of one is not a committee.
Give your report.
Yeah. So,
So Bob needs to appoint,
he needs to
the
appoint two other
replacements.
people, and when they want to have a discussion on budgets and that, the resource committee is
Okay.
finance.
well, we'll make sure that Bob knows
Yeah.
that he has that task.
And he knows he has that task, I'm sure he does.
Okay, we'll remind
But
him.
I mean, I think that we should be included in that if we're a resource committee and talk to, the problem was, and I'm not going to berate this too much, but we never could meet with Stephanie. And it's a different situation now. I mean, she's more than willing to meet with us and talk about resources.
So Mike, you want to stay on the resource committee, is what
Yeah.
yours? Okay. Well, we'll make sure Bob gets that note.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Kathy hasn't been appointed to anything that I know of.
No.
You want to be on resource committee? You want to be on resource committee? You want to talk about money or
I thought
finances?
at your first meeting, when you took Jack's place, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought I remembered Bob saying, so she will also take Jack's place on the resource committee.
Boy,
So maybe was that an
I'm not-
appointment? I don't know.
I don't think so.
No?
But
No.
I could be wrong. I don't think so.
No, I could be totally wrong,
No,
too.
he didn't. And
I think she
the
took
alderman
Jack's
that was-
place on the tax commission.
Yeah,
Okay,
Not
she's-
the-
maybe that's
she's
what,
in the tax
maybe that's
commission
what I'm
It's
remembering.
the tax
because
commission.
I appointed her from the tax commission, that's my responsibility
You appointed her to this.
to this. Yeah.
Okay.
But unless I'm wrong, I might ask Carla, how many times has our alderperson been to any of the meetings? One that I remember.
Which meeting?
To this meeting.
Tourism
Council.
advisory? Okay.
I'll have to go back and check, but at most one.
At least one, only one. And I don't think he was told or asked at that time to be on that. I don't remember because I was here, I sat right there and he sat over one of these spots.
Yeah.
And
Would
that's
that
the
be
only time I've ever
Would that
seen
be
him.
minutes?
appropriate?
It'll show in the minutes.
Is it appropriate for him not to come to the meeting?
No, for him to be on.
But would it reflect that
Well,
he was a part of the
He was
resource
on the
committee?
resource,
Okay.
when he was an alderperson,
He was a member of the commission.
member of the commission, and he was appointed on the resource.
But he was a member of the committee, not just the aldermanic liaison.
Well, the alderman liaison was appointed as a member of the
This is one
commission.
committee where.
He doesn't have a vote,
The
I don't
liaison
think.
has a vote.
Yeah.
Okay.
He doesn't have a
One of
vote,
Joe's-
but he was appointed, that was his position.
Okay.
Pushes. I don't want to be on the committee if I can't vote.
I mean, we need his input.
Well, that's obvious, but
Yeah.
that's, I didn't realize he had voting.
She's
power.
going to check her.
He doesn't have voting power,
No, I
I'm just being told
but
he
he has
is.
voting power in this committee though, doesn't he?
Unlike other aldermanic liaison assignments, this one comes with a vote.
Yes. And that's why he was put on it, and I don't know if he volunteered, well, he didn't volunteer, he did. When we all began
think
our,
Tom
when
was
we all,
appointed. I
when
think- I think the
when
mayor
we
was.
started those four committees,
And then Tom was appointed.
and then Tom was appointed, but I don't think he wasn't ever told that, because he only
Yeah,
came
I'm
to
not
one
sure.
meeting.
Well, while you're figuring that out, I forgot one thing I wanted to mention. Is anyone familiar with the Bridge publication? This is out of Southeast Missourian's newspaper. It comes out, I think, it's quarterly apparently. So this is their fall edition, and it's the bridge connecting you to communities in Southeast Missouri. And they did kind of a little feature about history at home, Southeast Missouri's historic homes give a glimpse of the past. And so all these flags are places where St. Genevieve is mentioned in here, either in a photo. Their staff photographer came up and took some photos both in town and out in the county. And they put in a little bit of an article in here about French colonial St. Genevieve, in addition to an article about historic houses in Cape Girardeau, Sykeston, and New Madrid. So I'm just going to pass this around because I think it's important for people to know what's out there in case, someone comes to your inn or your business and says, hey, I saw you in the Bridge magazine. So you know that's out there.
Okay, Carla.
In the May minutes, Tom was not at that meeting. However, the resource committee changes were made to the committee. The former committee consisted of Jack Dunsey, Joe Steiger, and Michael Hankins. Jack and Joe are no longer part of the council, so Robert Mueller appointed Tom Couch and Kathleen Waltz to this committee. That was in May.
Good job.
But unless
Unless
Tom...
he didn't tell anybody, that's.
Well, it was during that meeting.
It was during that meeting.
It was during the meeting. Now, unless Tom was at the April meeting, not as a part of this committee yet, he's not been to any meetings.
What was the date, April what?
April 23rd.
He would have been
Which-
elected by then, so.
Right, well, that
I
was
think he
in that
sitting-
meeting,
he
in
was
the
sitting
April
in the
meeting.
building. He was here in the building, because that's the only time I've ever seen him.
Well, in the April meeting is when Bob had expressed his thanks to you, Joe, for being a part of this council. But I don't show him at that meeting as a...
You never
As a
call me
council
for
member, yeah.
anything. It's your fault.
I know, you don't send flowers, you don't write.
Right. That's it. You don't call them nothing.
So Kathy,
He
you
had a
are
committee,
on
didn't
that,
know
on that committee.
Somehow a committee of two seems a little weird, but we'll do it.
August.
Okay,
And Beth was right.
For the,
That's correct.
Well, that Tom wouldn't want to participate, his schedule is
Here we go, brainstorming session. And then additionally, in the August meeting, as Jan had pointed out, we did have council members interested in a brainstorming session to find smaller events to fill the gaps in the larger signature events. Jan, Kathy Walsh, Dina Kreitler, Kelly Fowler, and Bob Mueller had all volunteered at that meeting.
Thank you.
And possibly if we go back to the aldermanic liaison appointments, if Tom is working more out of town or working more than he was, maybe it would behoove us to ask the mayor for a temporary different appointment or something to that effect, put another person in who could be here. Otherwise, it's just me and mine, what can I say?
I vote yes.
Okay. All right, we're done with our meeting, thanks.
Well, we can ask the mayor to do that.
Nothing against.
Or maybe we should just talk with Tom and
But,
see.
yeah.
Maybe he would like that because of his schedule change, because I know he's the liaison for chamber too, and we've seen him at one chamber meeting, board meeting, because of his schedule. So maybe we should do that. I'll make a note.
Okay.
I have a
Okay.
question for anybody that hopefully knows the answer. Is that dadgum bridge on H finished yet?
Oh, I've got information on
Yeah.
that.
This is driving
I
us
just got an
crazy.
email yesterday.
If nothing else changes, it's supposed to open on Monday. It's supposed to open on Monday. I'm almost afraid to announce it though, because I'm afraid that something else will change and it won't open on Monday, you know?
They don't believe that it's closed. They see the sign.
Who, MoDOT?
No, yes, the people coming through Chester, they know that that's the shortcut, and they go all the
They
way up
keep
to
trying.
the bridge. And then they gotta go all the way back and still come around.
And then they're mad.
And I tell them it's closed. And they see that, and they just don't believe it.
How can they close the bridge?
It
How
was,
can they close them? And how can it be closed for all this time?
they had problems with the guardrails and something about the curing of something. It was supposed to have opened last week, and I told the regional engineer guy, who's actually from St. Genevieve originally, I asked him to let me know the official opening day.
Ryan Oaken.
And he emailed me this week and he said, unless anything changes, it should officially open on Monday. Well, I'm not going to post it on our social media until it's open, because if I say today that it'll open on Monday and something changes, that just looks bad, so.
Right.
True, obviously.
So,
Any other questions or comments? Okay, well, I'll call for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
Hi, thank you for watching Channel 798.
Thank you for watching Channel 7 and 98.
Hi, thank you very much for watching Channel 798.